Hello, folks. How you guys doing? Welcome to Gfem Talk Show. I am doing this in a different environment. I'm not in my studio. I'm doing it right in my car. So I'm not plugged into my radio page for my site, but I still want to connect with people on Facebook. How you guys doing over there? I trust everyone is doing well. But anyway, I'm not going to make this talk that long. I'll probably still keep to my 30 minutes GFM talk show that I do every week. But again, it's not going to be a long conversation. So I want to just talk to you about two main things. I want to address the married man in a relationship. And I also want to address the single folks as well. Okay, so you're getting a lot from today's show. You're getting a whole lot from today's show. To the married folks, to the married men, there's a question that may come to your mind, which is, how should I treat my wife? How should I treat my wife? It's a $1 million question that men think about. How should I, go about taking care of my wife? Well, let me just give you a quick, short answer. You should treat your wife the way Jesus treats us, his bride, by removing spots, wrinkles, and making us ready for him. The question to you is, are you removing the spots, wrinkles of your wife? Are you making her ready for you? Maybe you're actually adding to her spots, to her wrinkles, by allowing her to do all the job in the house, taking care of the children, paying all the bills, making her cry, being abusive towards her, depriving her of emotional attention and connection. Mr. Tunde Akitoku said, preach, bro. Thank you very much. That's one of my brothers right there. I think he's from London. So, are you removing the spots and wrinkles on your wife, or you are adding more to it? Your job is to make her flawless, not to add to her flaws. So, a simple way to know how to take care of your wife is to do it the way Jesus does it to his bride. And that's us. And you do that by removing the spots and wrinkles on your wife. Because you want to, I get this from guys that says, oh, I've worked all day, I come home, I want the food ready. At the same time, at the evening, late at night, when I'm about to go to bed, I want to be able to make love to my wife. But she's not ready. She's complaining that she's tired. The question is, what has she been doing all day? Has she been helping you to make sure that the house is ready? Do you have laundry list of things for her to do for you? Are we paying attention to how we are treating one another, to the job, to the burdens that we have, just to take care of the family? So it's a challenge to you, married men. Make sure you remove the spots and wrinkles. And your spots and wrinkles can be a lot of things to you. It may not even be one of the lists that I made earlier. But think about it. Now, let me switch gears. Recently, I met a Nigerian girl, who was telling me about our relationship life. She's single right now, and she's celibate. And she's been single for a while. She's been celibate for a while as well. So the challenge that she is having is that she cannot find a man that is celibate that will be on the same spiritual page as she is. How hard is it to find a young man that is celibate, that wants to wait till he gets married before he starts to have sex? she's having that kind of challenge. She cannot find a man. Not only that, this one that she actually confessed to me is what I actually thought about even when I was dating as well. And which is, she struggles to find a guy, and this is a Nigerian girl, find a guy that will be okay with her not knowing how to speak the language, the Yoruba language. There are guys out there who want to marry women that can just speak the language, that can speak the dialect. Now, it says nothing to understand the language. On the other hand, you got to be able to speak the language. So the challenge that girls are having, or some girls are having, is pretty much that they can't find a man that will be okay them not speaking the Nigerian language, or even Cameroon language, or the native language. I'm sure some other African country probably having the same issues too. When I was growing up, I struggled that internally too. I told myself, I don't think I can marry a woman that cannot speak my language. It's just difficult. How am I going to communicate to her? Am I going to speak in English all the time? No, I don't want to be speaking English all the time. I want to be able to speak the Yoruba language and for her to respond back to me Yoruba language. Well, I don't want to have a language barrier, because that will affect our communication. That can cause problem. There was a woman that she was my teacher in college. She was my biology teacher in college, African American woman, and she married a Nigerian. And she told me one of her issues that she was going through was her understanding the language, because the mother-in-law would be talking to her son in the Yoruba language, and she is thinking that they are talking about her, because just the fact that she couldn't figure out what they were saying. So she couldn't trust her husband when the husband tells her, look, we're not even talking about you. So some men, young men, are thinking along the line, like, okay, you may not be African American, you are actually Nigerian, you were born in Nigeria, but guess what? You actually migrated to America maybe at the age of 13, 12, or 10, at a tender age. So when you got to America, you've been here for 10, 15, 25 years. So you've lost the language, because the people you are meeting in America, people that you are hanging around with, probably other African descent, maybe some Americans, and your parents are now probably communicating with you in your language. And if they are, you are now responding back to them in that language. So that is becoming an issue in relationship for young women to find men that will actually be okay them not understanding to speak the Yoruba language. And now I'm starting to think that, okay, I'm raising my daughter now. Will she have that same problem when she gets to the age when she's about to get married? Would that be an issue?
I'm just ready to move.
So now I'm making my due diligence to make sure that she understands the language. That's for sure.
No.
Now speaking it back is a challenge, but hopefully we can get past that hurdle, because I would like my daughter to be able to speak the language. Because it doesn't even help, because you have people around you that all they speak is English. When she goes to school, it's English. That's what she hears. Only when she comes home, that's when she might hear the language a little bit. She might hear the Nigerian language a little bit. And sometimes we, the parents, forget that we're supposed to be speaking the language, the African language to them. So because we've been used to speaking English all day at work, in school, and then we get home, we continue with that. So here is a struggle that young single female Nigerian women are facing right now, and it's because they came to this country at a young age, and when they came, they kind of lost that language. And another thing that, when I was growing up and I was thinking about was, okay, even apart from me communicating with my wife in that official language, how about how she will relate with my parents? Well, parents is to be precise, because my parents they understand Yoruba than English. I mean, they speak English, but I'm just saying. They go home every year. They lived in Nigeria all their years, all their life. So they understand definitely the language. So you want someone to be able to communicate with them, because when you speak English sometimes loses its respect when you're talking to an elderly person. You cannot be say, "How you doing, man? How was your day, man?" I mean, sometimes it's like, who you talking to? Yes, baby. You want mommy? Yeah, you will see mommy soon. You see mommy soon. So, that's my daughter. Like I told you earlier, I'm in the car doing this, but I'm heading home in a few minutes. Just wanted to get this thing out. So, what was I even saying earlier? Yes, our parents, because they grew up in the African country, they understand the language. That's what they speak every day. So they want to be able to continue communicating with you in their language. So if you get married to someone that doesn't understand that, it's hard, because the English language can lose its meaning when you are communicating that to an elderly African person. The respect may not be there. And then also about the greetings, kneeling down, prostrating, all those things. They are very important. They are embedded in our culture. So I grew up understanding what the culture is, and I carried that on to America, and I told myself, if I have to marry someone, she must be able to speak the language, she must understand it, and she must understand the culture, and she got to be able to relate with my parents, my siblings in that culture, in that manner, and be able to greet them and have respect. So now, we see women going through that struggle. So this is an advice that I give to the young man. Even though you have this goal in mind to marry someone who understands the language, I say it's a plus if she understands. She may not be able to speak it, but it's a plus if she understands. If she understands, then you might be helping her to teach her how she may be able to communicate that. Sometimes it takes time. And sometimes they just need somebody that will be able to work with them, that will be able to communicate that to them. And then with time, things will get better. She will be able to communicate that. So I don't want you to let that be a stumbling block from you actually saying, I want to marry this woman, because she may have all the great attributes that a woman is supposed to have, that a wife is supposed to have. She may have all the wifey material. She may have all the qualities. Yes, baby. You want fruit snack? Don't worry, I'll give you fruit snack when we get home, okay? Alright. So, she may have all the other attributes. She might be a good Christian. She might be committed to her faith. She might be a good girl. So don't let the speaking of the language be a barrier or be, a showstopper. So that's just to the young man. And it can also go vice versa too, because you have young men coming to America at a young age, and they are losing the culture. They can't speak the language. And then you have this girl that grew up in Nigeria. She wants to marry a man that speaks the language. But we don't see that often, as opposed to, the other way around. So, and here's also to something that, we young folks should think about. How we are raising our children, for them to understand the language, for them to be able to speak the language. Don't feel that if your children are among their friends, you shouldn't speak the language. As Spanish people speaking their language to their children, in the mall, whatever they are, they speak the language. Chinese people, they do the same thing. Indian people, they do the same thing. So we Africans shouldn't be shy of speaking that language to them in the public. We shouldn't be ashamed of the language. So let's speak this language to our children, and hopefully it won't affect them in being